Hey guys, what's up? This is Pansar Dragon, and today we'll be going over counter jungling. And for the people who don't know what counter jungling means, it basically means going into your enemy's jungle and then taking creeps or killing him in his own jungle. Now, counter jungling is actually a pretty hard concept to understand. In fact, I'd consider it a really advanced aspect of a jungler to know. And this video will be representing counter jungling in my perspective on how I see it's meant to be played. Alright, so first off, I want to tell you that counter jungling can be really risky if not played right. You could be going into a death trap or even getting caught out in the enemy jungle while counter jungling, which is a big risk that you don't really want to take. And so I'm here to guide you away from that path and into a brighter light. Alright, so this first concept is really simple to understand. If you have vision of the enemy jungler, you can easily counter jungle the side that he is not on, since no one is there to contest the camp that you are going to do in his side of the jungle. And you might ask, what if their mid laner comes? Well, you see, you do have your mid laner too, so he can back you up if she really does want to stop you from taking those wraiths, but she might die. And always you want to leave one small minion, so when the enemy jungler does return to that camp, he is deprived of XP and gold. This is a really small thing to do, it's not as powerful as a gank, but if you are, say, a level 6 jungler like Skarner, this is the least you can do until you are level 6. The next concept I want to be going over is taking your buff because you're weaker than me, bitch concept. Or in other words, contesting the enemy's buff when it is up. So generally, this is a very straightforward concept. You take their buff, and they can't really contest it because you're stronger than them. But there are things you have to take into consideration when you do this. And so there are some general rules that I follow when I do this. The first rule is, I'm stronger than the enemy. You know, some common indications of being stronger than the enemy is more items, more levels, or I just have better base damage like Lee Sin. And of course, she just has less hit point than you. As you can see, she's at half health while I'm at max health. The second rule of thumb is laners can assist if needed. This means laners who can follow their lanes if they are actually going to contest this buff do come. Some laners who are being pushed in by the enemy laner may not come, since if they did come, they'd be sacrificing a big wave. And so if you plan on taking the enemy's buff, make sure your lanes can actually follow their lanes, as if you do counter jungle and they're being pushed in, it might be not a good time to counter jungle. Even if you're stronger than the enemy jungler, your laners might not be as strong as their laner, so always take in consideration of how your laners are doing when contesting a buff. And of course, if you're going to contest the enemy's buff, make sure you have a timer on it. The first buff that the enemy jungler does usually respawns around 7:20 and then 12:30. Alright, so the next thing I want to be going over is taking the enemy's buff for free. This is a really simple concept to follow. Basically, if you ever see the enemy jungler not around his first buff around 7:15, like an example would be he was ganking top lane at 7 minutes, and his buff just respawned. In this clip that I'm showing right now, he's dead. And so basically, you can just walk into a jungle, eat their buff, and then walk away. Most times I do usually leave one minion behind because I don't plan on returning. But if you want to be a better jungler than me, you can full clear it, and then later come back and contest it again, since you do have a jungle timer on it. Just remember to tell your teammates that you are going to get their buff, so that they can assist you if needed. Now next up is the fun part, where we actually try and kill the enemy jungler. So obviously the only time you want to be doing this is if you're the stronger jungler of the two. And your goal here is to either kill him or zone him from his own jungle. Now the only time I would go into the enemy's jungle is if I feel like I can get a kill. This usually only happens when I see that they are low hit point. And so if I feel like I can get a kill, I will go for it. And even if you don't get a kill, and let's say he burns his flash, that's fine. Because what happens is, since he's low in his jungle and you're like full hit point, you basically own his jungle since he can't really contest any of the camps, since if he does, well, he's gonna die to you. Check out how this Evelynn plays. This is a perfect example of what I mean. As you can see, Evelynn does have a full hit point bar. He sees that Nidalee is half hit point, and definitely Evelynn can duel her. So Evelynn knows that after this failed gank that Nidalee tried to do, he's going to do one of two things, either do his wraiths or do his wolves. And so Evelynn does camp the wraith camp, knowing that he can get a kill onto Nidalee or harass her enough so that she flashes out and he burns his flash. And then after this, he basically has free reign over his jungle. He can take the wraiths and the golems, and he can leave the small minions behind so that he can deprive the enemy jungler of more XP and gold. Simply put it, if you ever see the enemy jungler is low, then most times you'll want to enter into his jungle and try and fight him or fight for his creeps. Also, if you do plan on counter jungling the enemy, make sure you're a champion with a lot of kill potential, someone like Jarvan, Rengar, Lee Sin. all these people with high damage, high CC, and high kill potential. You don't want to counter jungle, as junglers you can't really kill their enemy, such as Maokai, Nautilus, or Cho'Gath. To conclude this video, I want to give some tips of when not to counter jungle. Let's say you're in the enemy jungle and there are MIAs. That is a big sign for you to get out unless those MIAs are being followed by your laners. And I stated this before, don't counter jungle if the enemy laners are stronger than your laners. Even if you're stronger than the enemy jungler, his allies will react faster than your allies, and they are closer to their jungle than your laners are. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, and I will see you guys next time.